NIT featuring two teams that, maybe playing some of their best hoops right now. Washington State finally healthy will be taking on still a very pissed off Texas A&M and Buzz Williams team here. It was a pick 'em. I'm seeing 1.5s here as well with that total having come down. It opened at 136. I'm seeing 133 here, Steve Merril. Talk to me. Texas A&M is obviously past upset at this point. They're looking to make a point. Do they have enough to take down Washington State and make their way to the finals?
Yeah, it's actually down to 132 now, Joe. So it's continuing to drop. Like you said, it opened 136, and now it's 132 in a lot of spots. So just like the last game, we've seen a 3 and now a 4-point move in this one to the under. And as I said, I think one of the reasons is because odds makers use the overall seasonal stats. I get that, but it's very difficult to price in the intangibles like focused defensive championship caliber basketball. So we've seen some sharp money hit the under in both games. And once again, it'd be hard for me to disagree. I think if you're going to play both unders on the blind, you probably split out at worst tonight and go at least 1-1, maybe even a 2-0. Both teams are comfortable in the slower half-court style as well. I don't think that always gets accurately factored in to these lines. Texas A&M also just played a fast-paced game against Wake Forest. Washington State, meanwhile, played a slower game against BYU, a very impressive 19-point win, by the way, in that thin air and altitude of Provo. And one thing I'll point out about the side in this game, Washington State, we talk about that luck factor. We've had a lot of fun this year about how Providence, NC Wilmington, the luckiest teams in the country, and they continue to cover and win. When all these postseason tournaments began, I believe the most unlucky team out of any team to make any of the postseason tournaments was actually Washington State. They were one of the 10 most unlucky teams in the nation this year. And look what they've done. They've now run off 3 in a row, and they have done the last 2 straight up as an underdog. So they were an undervalued commodity coming in. Might be a little bit undervalued in the finals here as well. But if I'm going to play it, I'd play the total. Both teams are 6-0 combined under so far in the NIT. I think it's 7-0 after tonight.
Been an impressive run here for this Aggies team, Dave. But you know what? Washington State, what they've done here in the NIT, they look finally healthy here, and they are playing like it. So what do you think here? Do you give the edge to A&M, or do you like Washington State?
I like both teams. Unfortunately, they're playing one another. I wish these matchups had been different because I would have taken Washington State against either St. Bonnie or against Xavier, and I think I would do the same with A&M against St. Bonnie or Xavier. So I think the two best teams in the tournament are playing in this game. Washington State, they were really good at BYU. That's not an easy place to play. That's one of the better home courts out there. Crowd was into it, and Wazoo just spanked them in that game, and BYU was terrible. Now, the problem here for Washington State might be in the matchup. Where you beat A&M is if you can force them into turnovers, because they don't take good care of the basketball. They really haven't all year. It's been a problem for them. Washington State really doesn't pressure the ball that much. I don't think A&M is going to have turnover problems against this style of team they have against some others. I don't know what to do with this game. I think Washington State is a very slightly better team, but it's negligible. And the Aggies still might be pissed off. They've played like it this tournament. Okay? You don't know how things are going to go when a team feels they got snubbed. But if they get interested, and A&M's been interested, watch out. I think A&M's, got the bullseye here. They want this tournament. They want to send that message that we absolutely belong in the big dance. So I guess if I had to play it, I'd probably go along with the market on the game. They've bet the Aggies, but I can't make a case to actually put money on the game. So I'm going to just pass the game with a very, very slight lean to Washington State.
Listen, Texas A&M. Yeah, listen, the winner of this game could very well just be the winner of the NIT. They're playing that well right now. And Matt, the big movement has been on the under. Defense here. Do you agree with that market move, and how do you approach this game?
Well, these are much like Dave. I mean, these are two bet-on coaches too. I mean, I love Buzz Williams. I think Buzz Williams will have his guys ready for this game tonight, and I love Kyle Smith, and I just love what he's done for this program. And you mentioned it in terms of the health. I mean, Washington State has not had their full strength and full complement of players a lot this year. The thing I kind of look at here is I think Texas A&M is a slightly better SMU only because Texas A&M is about the size of SMU. Texas A&M does not have a ton of big guys. And what Washington State did when they went to SMU, who was the same exact team that was very small, they went and got every rebound. I mean, it was incredible to watch how many offensive, I think they had 20-plus offensive rebounds in that game, and that's why they won. And that's kind of why I lean to Washington State here as well. Washington State has the massive advantage. They have 3 6'10" or above guys, and they're competent too. Like, it's nice to have size, but some teams have size and they're not very competent. Those are 3 very solid big men. And I do kind of think that Washington State's going to turn over Texas A&M just a little bit. And I think Texas A&M, who relies on turnover, isn't necessarily going to be able to do so to Washington State, who's 50th in turnover percentage. So I kind of, it's not my favorite game of the night because I like stuff in the Bonaventure game more, but I kind of lean to the Pac-12 team. Once again, also, and I know this is not necessarily part of the handicap, the SEC has been terrible in the NCAA tournament. Now, that doesn't necessarily carry over to Texas A&M, but it is a factor in this that the Pac-12 has looked pretty good, whereas the SEC has not. I lean to the underdog here, and I put a small wager on, just some pizza money. I think Washington State can win this game outright.
All right. Well, it's all going to be decided here tonight. Both teams, both winners of those games, guys, will advance. That final will be Thursday, and of course, we'll be back on Thursday there. We'll break down that final, whoever it may be.